We all love the idea of moving to a new place that seems better, hoping for exciting adventures and awesome new friends. But guess what? Sometimes people end up wishing they hadn't moved at all. Can you believe that? Today, we're going to talk about the top 10 countries people regret moving to. Number 10. Vietnam. People often regret moving to Vietnam for a few big reasons, and it's interesting to learn about them. Imagine moving to a place where you thought you could enjoy delicious food and beautiful sights, but then finding out it wasn't as perfect as expected. First, people find that food safety is a big issue. Sometimes, the food isn't prepared cleanly, which can make you feel sick. Also, people worry about crime in Vietnam. They might feel unsafe because there are more crimes like theft, which can be scary. Another thing that bothers people is fraud. This means sometimes people are tricked into losing their money, which is very upsetting. Also, the general feeling of not being as safe as they hoped adds to the discomfort. So, while Vietnam can be a lovely place with lots to see and yummy food to try, these issues make some people wish they hadn't moved there. It's like expecting a perfect new toy, but finding out it has some broken parts. Number 9. Belarus. People might regret moving to Belarus because it can be a tough place for someone from another country to feel at home. Imagine going to a school where no one talks like you, and the games they play are all different. It's kind of like that. In Belarus, people who come from other places, especially far away like the United States, often feel left out and not very welcome. They might find that the ways of doing things are very different, and not everyone is quick to include them in daily life. Plus, Belarus is very quiet about welcoming new faces from other countries, which makes it harder to make friends and feel part of the community. It's like being the new kid in class all the time. So, while Belarus might be interesting because of its history and beautiful places, living there can be really hard if you're from somewhere else. Number 8. Mexico. Many people who move to Mexico end up regretting their decision due to several interesting reasons. Imagine being excited to live in a new place with beautiful beaches and delicious food, but then facing unexpected challenges. First, Mexico has some areas where crime like theft and pickpocketing is really common, especially in towns close to the border. This makes people feel unsafe, which is a big deal when you're trying to enjoy your new home. Another reason is cleanliness. Some parts of Mexico have issues with keeping streets and public areas clean, which can be a surprise if you're not used to it. It's like expecting to play in a clean, sandy park, but finding litter everywhere instead. These problems with crime and cleanliness can turn what was supposed to be an exciting adventure into a situation where people wish they hadn't moved. This shows how important it is to learn as much as you can about a new place before deciding to make it your new home. Number 7. United States. Many people dream about moving to the United States because they think it's a land full of opportunities and fun places to explore. But sometimes, after they move, they start feeling a bit disappointed. One big reason is that there are some places in the US where crime is more common than they expected, which can make them feel unsafe. Another reason is racism, which is when people are treated unfairly because of their race or where they come from. This can make them feel unwelcome or sad. Also, the United States is very big, and every place is different. Some areas might not be as friendly or open, which can make it hard for new people to feel like they belong. Even though the US has lots of good things, these issues can make some people wish they hadn't moved. That's why it's really important to learn as much as you can about a place before deciding to move there. Number 6. Japan. People often dream about moving to Japan because it's a place full of exciting culture, amazing food, and cool technology. However, some people who move there end up regretting their decision for a few reasons. First, life in Japan can be super busy, especially in big cities like Tokyo. People there work a lot, and sometimes it's hard to find a good balance between work and fun. This can make life feel really stressful. Also, in Japan, many people smoke cigarettes, even in some restaurants, which can be a big surprise and uncomfortable for people who aren't used to it. Plus, some places still have old-fashioned squat toilets instead of the sit-down kind, which can be tricky to get used to. Lastly, making new friends and fitting into Japanese society can be tough. The language barrier is a big challenge, and sometimes people feel left out because they don't speak Japanese very well. So, while Japan is a fascinating country with a lot to offer, these challenges can make living there difficult for some people. Number 5. China. Moving to China can be super exciting because it's very different from many other countries. But some people who move there end up feeling a bit sad about their choice. Imagine going to a place where almost no one speaks your language. That's a big challenge in China, where not speaking Chinese can make everyday things like shopping or asking for directions really hard. Also, some people find it tough to make friends and feel like they belong because the culture in China can be quite different from what they're used to. Plus, if you're used to having lots of personal space, the crowded cities in China might make you feel a bit squished. Working in China can be really busy too. Some people find that their jobs take up so much time that they don't get to have much fun or relax. And if you're used to seeing clear blue skies, the pollution in some Chinese cities can be a bit of a surprise. So, while China has lots of cool things to see and do, these challenges can make some people wish they hadn't moved there. It's like expecting a giant chocolate bar and then finding out it's a tiny piece. It might still be good, but not quite what you hoped for. Number 4. France. When people move to France, they often look forward to enjoying beautiful places and delicious food. However, some find that living there isn't quite what they expected, leading to regrets. A big reason is that it can be tough to make friends with local French people. They might seem friendly at first, but sometimes that friendliness doesn't go beyond just being polite. This can make newcomers feel lonely because they hoped for deeper connections. Another challenge is the language barrier. Not knowing French well can make everyday things like shopping or asking for directions really hard. This can be frustrating and makes some people feel left out or unwelcome. Lastly, cities like Paris are famous for being wonderful, but they can also be very different from how they appear in movies. The streets can be crowded, and living there can be expensive, which can be surprising and disappointing for new residents. So, while France has many great things, these challenges can sometimes make people wish they hadn't moved there. Number 3. Brazil. People might regret moving to Brazil for a few interesting reasons. First, Brazil is known for its exciting cities and beautiful beaches, but it also has some problems with crime. Some cities have high rates of theft and other crimes, which can make people feel unsafe. Another big issue is that while Brazil's people are often friendly and the culture is vibrant, it can still be hard for newcomers to feel like they really fit in. This might be because of language barriers or just different ways of living, which can make everyday life a bit tricky. Lastly, Brazil's weather is warm and sunny, which sounds great, but it can also be a bit too much for people who aren't used to very hot weather. Imagine feeling like it's the middle of summer every single day. So, while Brazil has a lot of awesome things to enjoy, these challenges can sometimes make people wish they hadn't moved there. It's a country with a lot of excitement, but also some difficulties that can take a while to get used to. Number 2. United Kingdom. Many people who moved to the United Kingdom ended up regretting their decision, and here's why. Imagine moving to a place hoping for fun adventures and cozy homes, but instead, you find yourself shivering through lots of cold, damp weather. In the UK, it rains a lot, and the skies can be grey for days. This can make playing outside tough and a bit gloomy. Besides the weather, living in the UK can be very expensive, especially in big cities like London. Imagine wanting to buy a small toy or a treat and finding out it costs way more than you thought. Also, some people find it hard to balance their work with fun times. This means moms and dads are often busy, and families don't get as much time together as they'd like. Healthcare can be another tricky part. While it's great that it's mostly free, sometimes you have to wait a long time to see a doctor when you're not feeling well, which can be really frustrating. So, even though the UK has beautiful castles, rich history, and fun football games, these challenges have made some people wish they had stayed home or chosen a different adventure. Number 1. Canada. People sometimes regret moving to Canada for a few reasons. First, even though Canada has beautiful nature and is known for being a nice place to live, the process of becoming a resident can be really tough and take a long time. This surprises many people who move there, thinking it will be easier. Second, living in Canada can be quite expensive, especially in big cities like Toronto and Vancouver. Everything from houses to groceries can cost a lot, and this can be a shock if you're not ready for it. Lastly, Canada is very cold for much of the year. While some folks might enjoy the snowy winters, others find the long cold seasons tough to handle, especially if they're used to warmer weather. These factors combine to make some people wish they hadn't moved to Canada, even though it has many good things to offer. It's a reminder that every place has its ups and downs. Thanks for joining us today. Remember, moving to a new country is a big adventure, but it's not always easy. If you liked learning about the places people sometimes regret moving to, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more travel tips and fun facts. See you next time, world travelers. Keep exploring and stay curious.